Hi there. I always wanted to be an engineer as I used to make and fix things, make things, build things. For example, in the fourth grade, I built a crystal radio set that got all of its power off the air through the antenna, no electricity at all. I was very proud of that. My biggest problem, though, was that I went to a one room school with six students. That's six students in the entire school. So I got a very poor education. I was always the smartest kid in the room because I was the only one in the room. And to show you how bad my education was, I graduated grade school not knowing the alphabet. High school wasn't much better, but at least I memorized the alphabet so I could use the dictionary. Now, in college, I was surrounded by people that were smart and knew how to study. I didn't. With such a poor background, it came as no surprise that I flunked my freshman year in college. I, being persistent, went to summer school and made it up. It came as no surprise I flunked my sophomore year in college. Being persistent, I went to summer school and made it up. In my junior year, I was taking advanced physics courses, and it came as a surprise that I got on the dean's list. I was the most improved student in the entire college. Of course, when you start out below zero, anything's an improvement. Now, fast forward 10 years. I graduated, I was married, had two kids, and was employed by the Navy as an engineer. My employer one day offered me a fully paid 6-year tuition to Purdue to get a master's degree. Couldn't turn that down. PhD friend of mine said that with my miserable grade point average, Purdue would never, ever let me in. I would have to force my way in. And he said the thing to do was just start taking courses, tell nobody, get good grades, and they'll have to let you in. That's what I did. Now, 3 years into the 6-year program, I got a note one day, go see the Dean of Admissions. He was a tall, imposing man behind a large desk in a big office with potted plants. I came in, sat down, he shuffled through some papers and finally said, what the hell are you trying to do? I'm trying to get a master's degree. You don't qualify. You'll never make it. You haven't even matriculated. I wasn't quite sure what matriculation was, or even if it was legal in Indiana. I said I've been getting A's and B's, so I am making it. He checked my grade records and it looked like he'd bitten into a lemon. But he brightened up a bit and said, why, you've never taken the GRE, the graduate record exam. GRE is a poor IQ test, as it doesn't test IQ, but tests patterns like 2, 4, 6, 8. What comes next? I'm good at patterns. So I said, do it. I'll take it. A couple of weeks later, I was back in his office. He recognized me somewhat dourly, I guess the word would be. I said, I took your GRE. He looked at the GRE results very slowly, sighed, stood up, offered his hand and said, welcome to grad school. I was in. 5.5 years into this 6-year program, I had a problem. I had a required course that was not given that semester. And if I waited out a semester to take it, then my grades were going to be dropping off at the back end as fast as I was making them on the front end. There was no way I could graduate. So I went into my lead professor and it's kind of crying. He says, no problem. There are only 2 requirements for graduation. Number 1 is that you're getting a master's degree will bring honor to me. And number 2, I convinced the Board of Regents that you getting a master's degree will bring honor to Purdue. Well, I protested that, the graduate rule book says, son, you weren't listening. Once in my life, I shut up. My observation was that with STEM courses, that was technology, science, engineering, mathematics, and so forth, I had to study to get an A or a B. Non-STEM courses fell into 2 categories. Category 1 is that you had to stay awake to get an A, and category B, you could sleep and get your A. So I looked down the list, and down there someplace I saw industrial psychology. And I said, nap time. I picked it. He signed it. I got my A. Now, the sword that they hang over your head in grade school is orals, master's orals or master's comprehensives. They call it orals because a panel of professors query the students, and their recommendations are absolutely final. My PhD mentor said that, well, you want to treat this as a job interview. You want to be well-dressed, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed. Well, all right. In my class this year, there were 5 graduate applicants. 4 of us showed up in what I would call business casual: white shirt, no tie, dark socks, leather shoes, the whole bit. The 5th person came in wearing clean Levi's, white sneakers, white socks, and a sweatshirt that said Purdue across the front. I thought that was a nice touch. Give him a beer can and you'd have a frat boy right away. Anyway, after about 2 hours of grueling questions, the panel said that, oh, you all go down and have a coffee or something and relax. We'll decide who wins and loses. You come back in 15 minutes and we'll give you the results. Okay. So as we were filing out, my master's degree goodbye. And they said, oh, frat boy, you got a moment? And we went down and we had a cup of coffee. We came back and they said, congratulations, you all passed. I was an out engineer. Sometime later, I found that frat boy had not passed and he became a master's ABD, all but dissertation. That's my education.